Greetings, diners, and a good morning. And it's really early in the morning here on the Last Great Frontier. It's pushing 5 a.m., I think, something like that. And I've been up basically all night. And today we have a special guest joining us in a couple of minutes. But first, as is our tradition, we have to go over what we're eating this morning. And this is a real breakfast. It's not a brunch, okay? It's traditional American, North American breakfast, all right? And we've got 2 eggs over easy on rye toast. I like rye, okay? With home fries. These are made from fresh Alaska potatoes, all right? And 2 breakfast sausages. All right, that's the main course for the meal. And then we have a bowl of Cheerios. All right, my favorite cereal from my youth. And I still like it. Okay. And then we have our fruit for the day. Today's fruit is navel orange. I think that comes from Florida. And blueberries. All right, these I believe are from Washington State. And to go with the blueberries, sour cream, all right? And that's Daisy sour cream, which I think also is made in Washington. We do not have a dairy anymore up here that does this stuff. It shut down about a year. The one that we had shut down about a year after I moved here. And eventually we're going to have to start another one, okay? And then to drink, as usual, Alaska glacial spring water, the finest water on God's green earth, and it's still green, at least up here. Okay, and then what's more traditional with breakfast than orange juice? All right, of course, my orange juice has a little extra kick to it. Yeah, that's extra kick. Ooh. All right, so let's get to our guest. Our guest is probably the youngest diner we've ever had. The place is overrun with old white males. The demographic that everybody loves to hate these days. All right? But, so it goes, right? All right, so without further ado, let's talk to Cam. Say hi, Cam.
Hello, everyone.
All right. And this is our Millenial diner who recently joined. It was November, right? About November?
Oh, yeah. It was probably November. Joined September. Yeah, it was when I found out. But yeah, November joining.
Right. Yeah, your picture and your audio are not synced. Whatever. It's not that far off. And the audio is very good. And that's the most important thing.
Right.
All right. Well, you're a young guy, 21 years old, which is pretty, young to become a Kollapsnik or a Doomer or whatever you want to call yourself. When did you become Kollapsnik? How old were you? When did all?
Well, I think it's kind of been a bit of a process, but also there was a certain point where things kind of clicked. So I think it started probably last summer, and I think this book, when it came out, it kind of woke people up. And it's the Uninhabitable Earth by David Wallace, the book about climate change and things like that. So that, I think, when I first started it, scared me quite a bit. So I actually closed them after about 5 or 6 chapters, kind of threw it in my closet, tried to forget about it, and then for some reason I came back to it, finished it off. And so at that point I knew things were going to get, rougher. And then I think in September, yeah, this is a bit of a funny story. I was after university, I'm in my last year of university, and I just finished class on Friday. This is back in September. And I'm busing back down the hill talking to a girl from that class. And we were just talking about how lots of people, especially students, don't really question assumptions that are made by just about everyone. Because everyone right now except for me and this girl, basically, are all talking about master's programs, getting all stressed out about applying to these programs and things like that. But they never question if that's actually the right option or anything like that. They're just assuming it's correct because I've them that. And then I guess when I got home, after talking about questioning stuff and whatever, I Googled question everything, just kind of for fun, hoping to like see some weird conspiracy site or something, just have some fun. I stumbled upon Question Everything, George Mobus's blog.
Right.
And there, I basically read quite a few of his, and that was where I was like, whoa, wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd say that's the moment where it would be my wake up moment, so to speak.
Yeah, George is an old friend. We've been down the Kollapsniks Road together for quite some time. And there are a lot of videos going back to 2013 or so with George in them and audios. I'm not sure if they're audio or video, but I know they're there. And we're actually going to get together again. But I think this interview with you will show up after the interview with George. And also Hugo Barty is going to do that one. So that should be an interesting one. All right, enough of that. Enough plugging the diner stuff. I'm a what do you call it? Self-promoter extraordinaire. I just, nobody else promotes me, so I gotta do it.
Oh yeah,
myself,
You kind of have to be with the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
Promote yourself.
Yeah, you operate in a kind of a vacuum. So, all right. So you read George, and then you found the diner and whatnot. Have you explored any of the other, famous Kollapsniks sites? Dmitry Orlov's site, or James Howard Kunstler, or Greer, John Michael Greer. Have you gone to any of those?
Yeah, well, that's the thing with me. There's one kind of part of me that is like I have very varied interests. Like I kind of jump around. Like I like music, I like biking, I like reading, I like just about everything. I'm interested in everything. But when there's a certain topic that I realize is really important, or something I really should know, or I really want to know about, I can dive really deep, really, really quickly. And that's kind of what I did when I stumbled upon Collapse. So yeah, I just wrote down a little list here. I definitely read Hugo Barty's blog. Gail, I don't know how to say her last name. Gail Tverberg, the oil blog.
Tverberg.
Gail Zawaki's The Dark Green Mountain. Obviously, see vibes.
Yeah, Gail Zawacki is, in my opinion, off the deep end. But
Yeah. No, I think it's almost in it's almost in the whole we're screwed, so why do anything kind of. But yeah, I've basically been all over the place. Dark Green Mountain Survival Research Center, obviously C5's blog. Collapse of Industrial Civilization. There's another one called Pray for Calamity. That's just really neat writing.
Pray for Calamity.
Yeah, so
I've done interviews. I can't remember his name now because it's been so long, but I've done interviews with him online as well. He has a small Doomstead out in Pennsylvania, and he built his own house and whatnot. And he's a relatively young guy, 30s, basically did it from scratch with no money, working gig jobs with his wife and whatnot.
Good for him.
Yeah, I can't remember his name right now though. I haven't talked to him in so long. All right, yeah. So you're well read in the field, and now the next question that comes up is, having digested all of that stuff, how is it affecting you in terms of things like your family relationships and your school, your choice of what you're going to do with your education? What did you major in? You said you're graduating now.
I majored in psychology.
Okay, that's a major that if you don't have a master's degree, you pretty much can't get a professional job in that field. So, McDonald's material now.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Well-educated McDonald's material. And the student loans, the cost of college, how did that affect you? Were you able to get through college without going too deep in debt or whatever?
Yeah, well, I've been lucky that way in that I have a university here in my hometown. So I've gone to it, studied there, lived at my grandparents' house, and also worked part-time at a grocery store. So I've gotten by all the way through. Well, and I've gotten scholarships and stuff too, all that fun stuff. So I've gotten through with no debt, which is nice.
Yeah, and so what? Yeah, you have no debt at this stage, and so what? And as we said, psychology degree does not really qualify you for any particular type of job. Maybe human resources or something like that. But those jobs don't pay a whole lot better than McDonald's does. At least the intro level jobs. So are you going to go on for any advanced degree, or are you going to make some other choices?
Well, I think originally when I first started my psychology degree, I was basically just following what everyone was telling me to do, like the whole follow your passion, do what you love kind of thing. And then in second year, I was thinking, okay, what am I actually going to do with this? Because looking at jobs as just a bachelor's is very clear, like exactly what you're saying. It's mostly going to be minimum wage or just above minimum wage. So then second year / third year, I figured out I could probably go in occupational therapy or physiotherapy. Mm-hmm. Both of those would involve a master's degree. However, now, after learning about Kollaps, sorry, I forgot to mention that I've always been kind of on the fence about going into some sort of trades job as well, because I really do like moving around, using my hands. And I've worked with one of my buddies who's starting a trades business, basically just doing kind of odd jobs like drywalling, plumbing, electrical, all sorts of stuff. And I've enjoyed all the time I did that. So after learning about Kollaps, that kind of pushed me over to the side of becoming a tradesperson. Mm-hmm. So now I think the plan is to get myself an apprenticeship as in electrical. Mm-hmm. And I know in my hometown that's very challenging from what I've heard from younger people that are trying to do that. However, I'm very mobile right now. Like I don't have a family, or I don't have kids or anything like that, or anything really tying me down. So I'm free to move around to a bigger city if I have to, or a small town up north to get started there. So that's probably the plan now. Mm-hmm. So switched from my occupational therapy / physiotherapy / counseling or whatever it was going to be to a trades career, because I know that that'll continue to be useful even after the economy continues shrinking and all that stuff continues on.
Well, you definitely should talk more with Nearing's Fault on the diner. He's from Ontario also. Your audio is cut off. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, now I hear you. You were gesturing. Boy, I think your what do you call it? Your audio and your video are really unsynced now.
Oh, they're not synced up?
They're really way off. Nearing's Fault, he's also in Ontario. He's got Doomstead up there. He's actually just bought new property. And he's a tradesperson. And currently does electrical. He is doing solar installations on homes. And also commercial businesses, I think, too. So he's definitely a guy, if those are your interests, he's definitely the guy on the diner to talk to and go to. I mean, because he's right in your home state, of Ontario. Province. You guys call it provinces, whatever.
Yeah. No, he sounds perfect to talk to.
Yeah.
I will message him.
Definitely send him a message about it. And I definitely, approve of that choice. I think it's probably the correct choice. Although, it's very hard to know what's going to
Oh
happen.
yeah, it's hard to tell.
And how it's going to happen and when it's going to happen. That's always been, what's going to happen in the long term is fairly clear cut, but the timeline on it, how long it's going to take to get from where we are today to, halfway down the ladder and then all the way down the bottom of the cliff, that we just don't know. Although there are accelerators that seem to be, picking up the slack as we move along here. So what about, I mentioned also, what about family relationships? How are you doing do you have siblings, and your parents, your grandparents? How are they all reacting to your new sensibilities?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because when I first learned about collapse, I would say it is kind of a grieving process, especially as a young person, because before learning about it, I was planning on, starting a family, like basically the usual script: start a family, buy a home, work in a career, whatever, all that stuff. Of course, I was thinking of living very frugally and retiring earlier than most people would, but that was the only deviation from that script. But learning about collapse kind of just threw that all in the garbage, so to speak, I guess. So it definitely made me pretty sad for quite a while, which threw my parents off because I'm a pretty cheery person. I always have been optimistic and everything like that. So when they saw me just, basically just down in the dumps for probably like a month and a half or maybe 2 months or so, I was just not myself. They got very worried. And that was the post I made on New Year's Eve at the diner. When I talked about my parents are worried about me, and then I think I became the birth mother to my, or no, I forget what it's called, not birth mother, but when Eddie responded to my post, and then it became a post on the diner, that was that point. But now that things have kind of sunken in for me, and I know the actions I need to take to, well, not only increase my chances of surviving, but helping to build some sort of world that's going to come after this one. Now that I know all that and it's sunken in, it's part of it is challenging because my dad, for as long as I can remember, he's been collapse aware in the sense of he knows how just wonky the monetary system is, how unstable it really is. But he hasn't really learned about all the other aspects of collapse, like just all the things you can name off: the ocean acidification, climate change, topsoil loss, the rise of the political right all over the world, like the extreme right, like everything like that he hasn't really paid attention to. And I think now that I see things the way I see them, it seems extremely obvious. And I remember waiting in the bus stop a few weeks after, maybe a month after I learned about collapse, and just standing there waiting for the bus, looking at people in cars saying, like, how do you guys not see what's going on? This is so obvious. So there was some frustration there as well. But yeah, it's overall, it definitely puts a bit of a barrier between me and my family and friends who do not want to talk about collapse. Because I partially understand it. It's very uncomfortable stuff to talk about, especially if you're younger and you're most likely going to be seeing all this stuff happen. But it's also very important to talk about because it is going to be happening. And if you don't talk about it, you're not going to take any actions to actually prepare yourself in any way, or to just become more resilient, things like that. So
yeah, I think the general predilection is to bury your head in the sand. Just I don't want to know this. I don't want to know this. I just want to, do what was expected of me and do what I was taught I was supposed to do for all these years, and I, expect the same things that my parents got, in their lifetimes and so forth. And it's just not going to be that way. But it's a hard realization for people, and like you said, especially for young people. for me, I've been, at it so long now. It's like, I'm totally comfortable with it, and I'm also, you know, older, not that old, but because of my health conditions, my accident, I'm not a healthy guy, and so I don't expect to live that long. I'm just sort of trying to stay alive so I can see shit hits the fan day before I'm pushing up daisies. You know, but it's got to be a lot harder for somebody your age to deal with. And I am proud to know you and to have this opportunity to talk to you. You're a great addition to the diner.
Thank you.
And I hope, we can bring more people in of your generation and so forth. Got a bunch of old farts in there that, have been talking to each other for, a decade. And we all know where we all stand and so forth. And we still argue periodically, but, it's a good forum needs fresh blood all the time.
Yeah, because things get kind of stale.
Yeah. You rehash the same topics over and over again, and everybody has beating a dead horse. We all know what's going on. But the objective of the diner when I started it was to deliver the message to people that aren't really that aware of it, and try to wake them up. And I do it with my own inimitable style. I'm not like most of the rest of the bloggers. I'm a gonzo journalist, basically. Have you read any Hunter Thompson?
No.
Oh, you should. You should read Hunter. Read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, or The Great Shark Hunt, or Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail, 1974. Those were like his Hell's Angels book. I can't remember the name, what the full title of that one is. Really good journalism, but not conventional journalism. He takes a point of view. He doesn't try to be impartial.
Oh, just unbiased
and showing both sides and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting writer overall. All right, so so it sounds like your family is more or less. You just can't talk to them a lot about it. You're not going berserk because this is the way you've gone. Have you told them yet that you're going to go toward trades as opposed to going to grad school?
Yes, both my parents know, and the reason I actually chose electrical was because, my parents have known I've been thinking about trades for a while now, and now that they know I'm really serious, my dad works at a factory just outside town. There's quite a few guys that know people in trades at his place. He was asking them if my son's going to go into a trade, which one should he go into? Because I'm not really, I just like working with my son. I'm not really biased towards any particular. So they were all recommending basically because it's a lot easier on the body than it is than, say, welding or plumbing when you're in all the positions and just everything like that. It's a lot easier on the... Now I've fell into a hole here. What was your question?
Your family was aware of your choice of moving into the trades and.
Yeah. Pretty much everyone. My cousins and stuff know because I haven't seen them in a while, but when I see them, they'll be updated.
Yeah. What about there are there's apprenticeships. Of course, you mentioned the possibility of an apprenticeship, but what about trade schools? You can get certifications like that for electrical. Usually I think they're 2 years maybe. Have you considered going to a school?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. Actually, I forgot to mention that. I probably will be going to one of those. Not only is there a university in my town, there's a college, kind of connected. But the issue with the college we have is that it has an electrical program, but if you go through it, you're not certified in anything. So it doesn't really actually need to get into it. So I think I may have to go somewhere else. I think Sudbury or Timmins are the two closest trade schools that offer actual certification. So I might go to.
How far are those places from your hometown?
Sudbury's about an hour and a half. Timmins, I honestly don't know because we don't travel there often. I think it's further up north. My navigational skills are just horrific. But yeah.
Well, I'll Google it up later.
Yeah.
So I'll add the Google to the blog that I do along with the video. So that's the future, or at least a projected future that you're going, and like you said, you're lucky enough to have been able to get through your undergrad with no debt, so also good. And now you mentioned that you're taking the bus all the time, so you don't have a car.
No, I do not. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the longest time, I didn't actually plan on ever really having a car because I basically view them as things that take you from city to city, like intra-travel or cross-country travel. If there's anything with town, pretty much all of it can be done with a bike trailer on it, or busing, or walking. Mm-hmm. And I know that's kind of seen as crazy or car-obsessed culture, but I don't think it's crazy. I think it's right. It'll eventually become normal.
Liking electrics, going towards electrics, I highly recommend scooters. I am about them. I have 3 different ones, and I'm looking at a 4th one that's more of a distance and store, capable of going off road, 4-wheel drive job. And we're not here, they don't cost, born your first born.
Yeah.
Buy one. The one I'm looking at, I think, is about $5,000, and it'll do 25 miles an hour and has a range of 45 miles. Okay, and that can take me all over the valley where I live on a single charge. I don't even charge it during the day. Just get home, plug it in, ready to go again the next day. So I'll send you some material on different scooters that are available, and it is another option. One thing I did talk about with you, I remember early on when you first did Diner, when we were talking about, well, I'm probably going to need a car because they're going to have to, move out of town, whatever. And my suggestion was that with a van, because it's also a potential living arrangement if you need it. Whereas cars, well, you can your car, plenty of people do, but it's not particularly comfortable.
But a lot of space in there.
But if you buy yourself a full-size van, you can set it up so it's really comfortable. See, I 90% of my life these days happens in this basically 10-foot square spot where my computers are, and I can set up exactly the same thing in a van. All right, and then I can make the chair convertible to a bed and all the rest of that. And so, and I don't need like a an RV. Any cargo van will do. The van that I did buy, I've got for $5,000. That's American dollars, not Canadian, so it probably would have been a little more Canadian. But it's in pristine condition. It's got a bed in the back that's electric. Press a button and the bench seat goes like that into a bed, and it's basically ready to go as a living arrangement if I need it. I don't expect to or live that long that I will need it, but it's ready. And of course, there is the issue that you're going to have to get fuel for it.
Yeah.
Which may or may not be possible at a certain point, especially the way things are going these last couple of years, and with the Saudis and the Ruskies in the trade war or a price war over oil, and trying to put the frackers here out of business, and the shakeout on that's probably going to come not this year, but in 2021, because the frackers are pretty well hedged for this year. So this year you can expect fairly nice cheap gas and happy motoring. So enjoy it while you got it. Okay, and I know a lot of people say, "Oh man, you're putting more carbon in the air." Well. It's somebody's going to burn it. Might as well be me. And you can't change the trajectory here of how it's going to go. The individual can't. All you can try to do is make the best choices for yourself to ensure your own survival in the future, and then to try to help your friends, your family, and so forth also to make it through the choke point, the 0 point I call it, when it comes. And so, in the meantime, you need a car. I mean, I could not. I have two. All right, I have my van and I have an SUV, because this is Alaska, and you cannot get around Alaska in the wintertime if you don't have a 4-wheel drive vehicle. And my van is not 4-wheel drive. So, and Canada is pretty similar to that. I don't think your weather where you are is quite as extreme as we get. But you go a little bit north, where, in general terms, you don't have to be specific, but, where are you now? What's the closest city or whatever?
I'm up in North, so the weather is not the true northern Arctic that's actually up by, it's either Hudson's Bay, like not there, but north of Toronto and all the bigger cities down there.
Yeah. How far is it to Toronto? Or do you know the mileage?
Kilometers, I think. Oh no, mileage, but I think it's. I think we Canadians like using time distance, so it's about a 3.5 or 4 hour drive.
Yeah, going at what speed?
What's this?
That's why this is better for this. Than,
I'm not sure why we do it this way in Canada, but I think it's about 100. Well, I think we're about 350 kilometers away, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, 3.5 months. Okay. Is it all highway, or do you got to do a lot of secondary roads?
No. It's mostly highway. Like leading up to my city, there's small 2-lane highway. But then when you're closer to Toronto, it splits into the gigantic 400. You just really fly if you want it.
Oh, all right. So we got some good background on where you're at, and where you're going, what your choices are for the future. Week, and basically going back to when I first heard it would be, I'd say in January, maybe in mid to late January, is coronavirus, which is now expanding rapidly, exponentially around the globe. Italy as a nation is under lockdown. People are not allowed to travel, and they can't congregate together, can't do football games together, they call it, can't go to church, can't hug other people. When you're outside, you got to keep your distance from. So really in the deep doo-doo. And then Keith and George both live in Seattle, and Seattle is sort of the epicenter here for coronavirus. What's going on in Canada, in the cities, and then up where you are? Have there been many recorded cases that you've heard about? And is there fear amongst the population? What do you sense is going on there?
Well, up until very recently, after the post, after C5's post on the Dark Green Mountain, Survivor, like his blog, after his post, this is the real deal. Of course, I went and got some groceries. Like, I'm not hoarding, but went out and got some extra stuff in case of quarantines. And I was telling my friends and family that too, just sending them texts and stuff like that. And I think even just a few weeks ago, or a month ago, people were not taking me seriously. But now that we're seeing this growing, people are starting to say, "Oh, Jesus, actually is pretty serious." Because just yesterday, actually, I think it was yesterday, we had first reported case in Sudbury from a man that went to I think it was some development conference in Toronto. He came back with the virus, so it's in Sudbury. And my city's mayor, also at the conference, he hasn't been confirmed to have the virus, and he's quarantining right now. But it could be right here in my city, which it feels weird, even though I've done, I think, everything I can. Well, everything within my power to get. It's still a strange feeling, knowing that the virus is here. And as far as fear goes, it's a very interesting thing. I've been to one of my profs at school, and also my parents too. I've been kind of joking about it. I mentioned I work with a group of people, and just a shift last week, a girl my age comes up to me and says, "Hey, do you have any toilet paper in the back?" And I said, "What? Like, are you asking about a sale thing, or what brand do you want?" She said, "It doesn't matter. I just want some paper." So I thought, okay, that's strange, because we've never been asked to grab toilet paper because we never run out. So I grabbed it, gave her one. She said thanks, and she was on her way. And then I went and looked at the toilet shelf, and it was just completely empty. And I'm thinking, is this like? It just made a whole lot of sense to me, because then I went over to the canned foods and the pasta and all the stuff I think should be important to, them.
Right.
And they were all doing just fine. So I'm not sure what that is, but there definitely is fear spreading. I don't think it's quite, like, it's not cancer or anything like that, but I do have friends that were going to go on, travel vacations and stuff that are canceling. And I'm happy to see because I think this is getting serious pretty quickly. Like, it's not going to be, it's not going to kill us all, but it is far more serious than the which some people I still see comparing it to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's shown a pretty significant mortality rate. Somewhere the 3% range seems to be about right. So that's 3 in 100 people, and they're mostly elderly and people who are infirm in one way or the other. Cripples like me who get it, and generally speaking, healthy young people can fight it off. And so, but not always either, so it won't kill everybody. That's true. But with the infection rate that it has, and the fact it's expanding exponentially, it has the potential of affecting basically every on Earth. Will eventually get it, and so you take 3% of 7.5 billion people, and that is 22 million people. Okay, no, 220 million people.
Yeah.
A lot of fucking people.
A big loss.
Yeah, the Spanish flu, which was the most famous pandemic, came in the 20s. That took out 100 million people. So it could outdo that. And of course, those deaths will mainly come in the poorer countries of the world, who are already weakened because they're undernourished and they have poor, general medical care. And if and when the treatment plans and vaccines become available, they're going to be the last ones to get it. The Western countries, the rich countries, will get that. So, so it's going to be disproportionate in who it affects and so forth. Again, that's one of them no control over. So you can't dwell on it too much. But it is a concern. Okay, it's a concern for me because I get an operation on my legs, so maybe have a little bit better quality of life with what time I have left. and I went to Seattle right when Seattle was starting to, show serious signs of it. And Keith joked. He said, maybe they won't let you fly home, and so he's concerned about that. And now the doctor down there did say he would do the operations that the doctor up here would not. But I have to fly down to Seattle to get those operations. All right. And there's no better place to catch a bad disease than in a hospital. All right.
That's true.
It's the only thing that might be worse is a cruise ship.
Yeah.
I caught already one infection in one of my hospital stays. It cost me a life. Wasn't fatal, but oh boy, holy shit, was that painful. So yeah, it's it's definitely for the future. All right, Cam, it's been really good to talk to you today, and I'm going to review the vids and do a little bit of edit work. I don't think it'll take too much editing, and then hopefully we'll get a chance to do it again. I'll be seeing you on the diner, of course. So say goodbye to all the folks. Say if you have a closing statement you want to tell people, feel free, and then I'll sign it off.
All right. Well, I can't think of any catchy closing statement, but see you guys later.
All right. And save as many as you can. That's all to do. This time, until next time, here on the Collapse Cafe of the Doomstead Diner. And now, I finally get to eat my breakfast. Okay? But first, I'm going to have to microwave it because it's been sitting there for an hour.
Yeah, now it's all chilly.
Yeah. Nothing like cold eggs. Ooh. Cold pizza is good for breakfast. Cold eggs, no. Okay? I don't like that. All right. Hasta la collapse.